G'day Battlers, and welcome to episode 37 of the G'day Battlers podcast, where all of your hopes and dreams are met in this next, I don't know. I sort of shouldn't have started that sentence because I was going to give like a time, like in the next hour and 22 minutes. But, obviously we don't know how long it is. So if it lands on 1 hour and 22 minutes, that's pretty impressive. But anyway, I'm PvP Stephen, joined by my co-host, debbiepebble.
Oh, that's so much pressure on my end to edit it down to 1 minute. All right, I'm writing it down. 1 hour and 22 minutes. Okay, all right. I'm just going to have to fill it. Like, it just means that we're going to record, and then if it goes short, I'm just going to have like some cows mooing at the end or something like that, just to fill in the time.
I thought easier than like having to cut down, right? So does that mean we have to go for less than an hour 22? Like, are we sort of ordained? Is that our target? Is that?
Oh gosh. Okay. All right.
Okay. Well, we'll get into it. But first of all, Happy New Year
Happy
and
New
Happy
Year.
Holidays, because we haven't seen you in a few weeks. But it is officially 2025 here in Australia. I don't think it is everywhere yet. Like, I don't think Hawaii has quite yet reached 2025, or some of the US of A, but they're getting there. So welcome to the brand new year. We'll see how things go. Essentially, in this week's episode, we'll take a little bit of a look back at the last couple of tournaments that we haven't talked about on the podcast, but then we'll do a little bit of a look back at the 2024 year in review, I guess, and then a little bit of a look forward to the 2025. I keep going to say like 2025 season, but we're in the 2025 season, and then it goes into 2026 during 2025. So whatever. But we've got plenty to talk about. So I guess as we charge towards that 1 hour 2022 target, we should start off with the tournament. So we'll start off with the championship series. So there's 4 tournaments that have gone on that we haven't really talked about, and that's because we talked up to LAIC, and then our next episode came after Perth Regionals, and we essentially just talked about Perth Regionals. So there was 2 tournaments before Perth and 2 tournaments after Perth. The 2 tournaments before Perth will really skim through because, it is technically in a different meta now, so it's not as relevant. And the first one was like a month and a half ago, so I don't know that there's that much to yap about. But I guess, Debbie, is there anything you wanted to say about Sacramento as the sort of first one off the block?
It was won by SP James. S James P.
Yeah, I think he's got a different Twitter handle and in-game name. S James P is his in-game name that sort of shows up on the thingo. But like I before we recorded, I was kind of like, oh, we could probably just do like a one sentence, one regional recap. And I think that the story out of Sacramento was very much S James P sort of showing that he is an incredibly strong battler, because he's played in like 5 tournaments, he's won 2 of them, and he came second in a third one. So and one of those 5 tournaments was the World Championships. So if you're not going to come top 2 in that, that's fair enough. So out of the 4 regionals he's competed in, he's won 2 of them and come second in a third. So pretty good, I would sort of suggest, out of that
stats.
one.
Yeah.
Not too bad. And I guess the other big thing of note out of Sacramento, because I don't think we talked about this, was PCF52's team, who, he didn't come second, he didn't come third, he came top 16. But the point wasn't that he wasn't in the top, 2. The point was that he got to top 16 using a team of Shadow Gyarados, Shadow Piloswine, Shadow Cresselia, Shadow Bayleaf, Scrafty, and Shadow Typhlosion. So, pretty sick.
We do like, the spice picks on this podcast. So, having something a little bit different is always awesome. And to get that far as well, just some talent there.
Yeah, well, one kind of a little bit different, but also kind of a little bit similar to one of our Australians, Wade out there. Hi, Wade. I assume you're listening. Who was
Happy
the
New Year,
first
Wade.
player to... But Wade was the first one to ever hit top 16 in a regional with Shadow Bayleaf, and PCF is now the second to lock in Shadow Bayleaf to that top 16 action. So the legacy continues, and we'll see how well Shadow Bayleaf can do in the 2025 season. I'm going to just say it, we might need a meta shift to make it at all viable. but that I guess then brings us to the other tournament that went on sort of back in November, which it is crazy that we're talking about this in January. But the sort of, I guess, important note is that the grand champion, first time regional victor, was PvP David 7, who what a name, Debbie, what a name.
Sounds super familiar.
We love a good PvP and a 7 at the end. For all we knew, David could have been my real name. Could have been much more fitting. But
Oh, is that a new reveal for later this year?
yeah, I'm saving a reveal each year. I'm just
Okay.
gonna secretly like change my name legally to some other name and be like, hey, guess what it is this time?
We look this up. Isn't it every year? You can do it for 1 year.
No, I looked this for a bit that I'm looking to do. You can only change it 3 times lifespan in Australia.
Oh,
So
okay.
and you
So you
have
had
to keep it for a year.
so you could leave the country and then change it elsewhere because it's only 3
Um,
times in a lifetime in Australia.
Maybe that is not something I've looked into, but I do assume that it has to do with your citizenship. So I might need to, find citizenship elsewhere and then, reject my Australian citizenship and then try and claw it back. That's
Ooh.
so
Mhm.
might be a bit tough for a bit, but we'll keep it in mind, I guess.
Mhm, mhm,
But yeah, Stuttgart. I guess the other,
mhm,
again, focusing on the spice picks, we
mhm.
had Tonton Batus in the top four,
Mm,
coming in third place with his. It almost doesn't feel like it's spice anymore that he's running
mm,
his Greninja, Chargebug, Skarmory because like
mm.
he just keeps succeeding with it. So it's like that just is clearly a good team from Tonton. Is kind of the reality. It's
Yeah, I think he really leans into something that's slightly off meta, not like purely not meta, but just slightly off meta, and then like yeah, he rolls with it pretty well. Like with his previous picks, things like Dragonair, and yeah, just very very good at it. I think has a niche for sure.
Yeah, and I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to keep mentioning it because I liked it so much. Was in Gdansk, where Tonton won the
Mm,
entire regional in the grand finals interview with Ziz Wireless, and Ziz Wireless. Tonton was running a LOL Eradicate at the time, and Ziz
yes.
Wireless made his comment about, I watched some movies about cooking, and there was a French one with a rat, and I think of it often, and I like it
Mhm.
every single time. But on top of Tonton performing quite well with his, it's not even just spice; it's actually like tactically it's a smart team because like you Skarmory becomes really useful when you take your opponent down shields because you can just brave bird anything and nothing really likes getting a brave bird. And
Mhm.
Greninja is an expert at peeling off shields because it is so spammy. So it's like
Mm,
Greninja Skarmory core is kind of crazy. It just taking off shields and then exploiting the opponent's lack of shields. So
mm, mm, mm.
kind of cracked and actually useful on that front. But the other person from Stuttgart that is worth sort of shining a light on was Inadequence,
Mm,
who was I did watch his. He put a YouTube video out, talking about his tournament. And originally he made a Giratina team, but he was like,
mm.
I just can't run Giratina. It's not good enough. And so he swapped it out for Shadow Driftbloom instead, which is
Mhm,
close-ish.
mhm.
But the Driftbloom is in the important bit. The important Pokemon, I would argue, is the Fortress that he came forth with. Fortress or something.
Maybe we'll put that one on a shirt.
Yeah, that's an Inadequate shirt special, I think. But yeah, no one had really made Fortress work yet. Like
Mm,
going into Buenos Aires, and I mentioned this on the podcast as well, that Wireless did build a team for me for Buenos Aires that I didn't end up using because I couldn't make it work in practice.
mhm,
But it had Fortress on it because he was like, man, Fortress, it can work. And I'm
mm,
like, yeah, it can work, but not in my hands, that's for sure. But,
mm, mm.
a month later, Inadequance has finally been able to actually make it work pretty decently as well. There's no one else in the top 16 that was running it. He just, is also a little bit of a spice lord. He likes to go down a few different paths, and it clearly worked out for him in Stuttgart.
Yeah, I just wanted to see the weekly tough, but had to bench it with the Giratina, so it's okay.
Well, I
um,
mean,
mm,
in fairness, he ran Wigglytuff and Giratina Core last time. This time he was going to run it without Wigglytuff. So uh, I don't know if he has an excuse that he can blame that can really absolve his sins on that one.
he gets a cross on the list, don't it? I mean, we just had Christmas, but he's getting coal. No, didn't bring the weekly.
Yeah. I mean, hey, they're in Europe. Krampus lives over there, I guess. So, he's much closer to Christmas punishment. But
Mm,
that's essentially, those are the two tournaments that took place prior to Perth, prior to the new meta season. And
mhm.
so, yeah, just a pretty quick overview on those ones. But
Yeah,
the
no
other two
Corsola.
tournaments,
Hmm.
wait, what's that, sorry?
Oh, no Corsola.
Yeah, that's right. No Corsola, no Fire Punch buff, no Ice Punch buff.
Hmm.
Um, but not quite into the territory of new moves yet, because Bogota was in the same weekend as Perth. And as we talked about in the last episode, we were in that halfway meta period where there was no rollout, Bibberel, no Psywave Starmie.
No, what is it? Focus Blast Dragalge.
Yep.
Someone make
sure
it
there
work.
were plenty in Toronto.
Someone make it work.
All right, Inadequates, Tauntauns, Wireless, we need one of you guys.
Surely someone can make it work.
Yeah, ground type meta. We'll see. But
okay, I put the challenge up for 2025. Someone get top 12 with Boom Burst.
now that's a thought. What? I think I need to go back and find out who is the best performing player with Boom Burst, because someone's brought it. Like, it could be just some random that's filled in a team of random 6 and they got one bye win and that was it. Maybe they're the best performing Boom Burst player. I don't know, but it could be worth a little bit of a sticky beak.
Tell me who do I need to beat?
In an Australian regional, you could probably sign up and you'll win. You'll be by default the highest placed battler to.
Let's go Brisbane.
Heard it here first. So because it was in the same weekend as Perth, although it was this weird thing where Perth was a one day on Saturday, Bogota was a one day on the Sunday, so there was sort of with time zones, there was a day and a half gap between the two. They had time to sort of look at the Perth meta, see what they wanted to run. Obviously we had the stream, so you could sort of watch the stream back. And where in Perth we didn't actually see much success with Galarian Corsola, it did a lot better in Bogota, to say the least.
Yeah, it was on the winning team with Richie. What do you want to do? 1,409, 1,409. I don't know what people want to do with numbers. It's like you saying Stumpy's username.
Yeah, based on the fact that I say Stumpy's username wrong, or should I say unique, in saying it's Stumpy 2517, I'm assuming that it is not Richie 1409. But you never know. 1409, that could be a date. It could be the 14th of September. Maybe that's his birthday or something. I'm not sure. But hot off his hot performance at LAIC, Richie came in with not only a Galarian Corsola, but an Egg IV Galarian Corsola. I'm pretty sure this is not the best IV Pokemon around because it is so inaccessible. That's a problem in itself. But he waltzed in with a non-ideal Galarian Corsola and crushed the whole thing with it. He got all the way to the grand finals. There was a bracket reset, but he was able to take the W in the end. And there were also I think there were a total of 3 Galarian Corsola in the top 8. So from 0 to 8, going from Perth to Bogota. So I don't know if that's just the Aussies didn't have Galarian Corsolas ready to go, or if they just weren't seeing much need for it in practice, or the meta just did shift in that day and a half. I don't really have a guess as to
I'm going to call it. The Aussies are stingy. They don't want to spend the XLs on something that they would potentially trade and get a better one. So they're like, possible. Nah, I'm not going to make it. I'm just save my XLs. Because that's kind of what I heard a little bit in Perth regionals. There was a lot of trades happening and I was like, did you make one? I'm waiting for a good one.
Yeah. To be fair, we had 3 days or something. Didn't we barely have any time at all? Not that they had much more time over in Bogota, but most Australians also don't have access to Corsola. Where's Richie's from Mexico, right? Does Mexico get Corsola? Because it's
I'm gonna say maybe.
This random Reddit thread that I've Googled seems to say that there are areas of Mexico that you can get Corsola. So
it's close to the borderline.
Well, it doesn't even seem that borderline, really. It says, he's heading to Mexico City looking for Corsola and Heracross. And someone in the replies was there are a few more spawns in the south of the city. Heracross is everywhere. Corsola is a bit rarer, but again, the south and center of the city have a few more. So, it doesn't even seem that rare necessarily in Mexico. So potentially the Mexicans just have a little bit more access to Galarian Corsola. Where were the other 3 guys that actually had it? 2 of them were from Mexico. One wasn't, but maybe I don't know where the actual boundaries are for Corsola, but potentially there's just actually more Corsola access there.
Yeah.
So they might just have had a bigger stockpile of Corsola XLs, but
Mm.
it's a theory. It's the best I've got at least. But
Yeah. Well, in
maybe
Australia,
it's
you have
just
to
we're
go
still
a
cheap
little bit north, right, to get Corsola access. It's like more,
for Australia.
yeah. Like I think where
Well,
Trotter
I don't.
is gets Corsola.
Yeah, well, Trotter's at like, the tippy top peak of Australia.
Mm,
Like,
mhm.
Brisbane's not getting it. You've got to be way out there.
Yeah.
Because it's like a 5-hour flight for him to get to Brizzy or something. So like
Mm,
he's north. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, if you're up on that cream of the crop of the country, you can get it. But most Aussies aren't up there. So
Mm-mm.
um, tough one to get, but we'll see how things develop, I suppose. But on top of Richie coming off of a really good LAIC performance, we also had Marto Golde coming off his LAIC win to land another fourth place finish. Not running Galarian Corsola, but really just showing off how impressive of a battler he is as well. He didn't drop a set until the winners semis either. So I think this guy might be good at the game. I don't know about you, but
Yeah. Honestly, he's on fire. Like he's sitting on the top of the leaderboard. He's got the most championship points. It's just he's
by a
on.
distance.
Yeah, yeah. It is a nutty run that has been going on. And like, but the thing is, he's just been so consistent, like throughout the years as well. It's not just like this season. It's just the fact that he's so good. That's it,
Mm-hmm.
and hilarious at the same time. So
Yeah. Funny guy, hilarious clips. I call him the greatest Twitch clip creator of Pokemon Go.
Mhm.
I mean, there's only one clip that really usurps him, and it's that one Battle Bill clip from
Yeah.
like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now.
Mhm.
That clip probably goes at the top of the Hall of Fame, but I think
Mhm.
every other entry, the long list comes from Marto. So
Mm.
he's definitely one of the goats, and also just a really nice guy as well. So
Mhm.
uh, it's pretty sick. But didn't beat me in that Buenos Aires Cup, so can't be all that.
You were so chuffed with that win.
It's like, oh heck yeah.
Screenshot on like, the journal, just like, I got it, I got it.
Oh, again, who are two guys I beat in that cup? Nezabethan and Marto Galde. Who won the next two play Pokemon events? Nezabethan and Marto Galde. So,
So are you saying
shame I
that
couldn't perform in actual tournaments.
people need to lose to you to win a regional or a special
Yeah.
event?
Yeah, so
Okay.
let me win
Uh-huh.
when you face me, and we'll be good to go.
Okay. Noted for
Please.
the New South Wales locals.
Yeah, yeah. Let me
Mhm.
win, guys. I want to get some points. Not for really any reason, but just for funsies.
Mhm.
But yeah, was there, I guess, anything else you wanted to comment on when it comes to Bogota?
Nothing from Bogota. Like, yeah, again, Corsa through there. Mardo running Jumpluff, just yeah. Just that's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, I thought there might be a Pokemon that you might have been interested in that came third
Uh
in
mm.
Bogota, perhaps.
There
One
was a
that
weekly
Inadequates
tough.
maybe threw away.
There was a weekly tough. So
Yeah,
much approval.
yeah, and like Wigglytuff was on my caster picks for Perth, and it's not what we didn't actually get to talk about it. I think
Mhm.
Trotter and Fishy Legs talked about caster picks, and we didn't really. But
Mhm.
I was sort of going into Perth. Like Wigglytuff has a legitimate spot here. Like it is legitimately good into the current meta.
Mhm.
Obviously you've got all of the apes you can hit, but you've also got that ability to, you've got Icy Wind, which is actually not really nice coverage into all the jump luffs that seem to keep winning regionals, including
Mhm.
this one from Richie.
Mhm.
You've got that normal typing that can also give a little bit of stopping power to Galarian Corsola as well.
Mhm.
So in my head, it's legit as long as you
Mhm.
can sort of dodge the poison type that everyone's got on their team.
Mm.
Although now that I'm looking at the Bogota thingo, there are
Yeah.
actually quite a few teams that didn't really have poison damage.
Mm-mm.
Well, Richie didn't in first place. He didn't have a
Mm-mm.
single poison type attack. Dekus, he's got Clodsire, so you do have to dodge
Mm-mm.
that. Third place, no poison type. Fourth place, the only poison was Drapion, who isn't running
Mhm.
any poison charge attacks.
Mhm.
Top six, again, there's only a Drapion on one team. And then the other three teams do have an actual poison type, two
Yeah.
Clodsires and a Toxapex. But like,
Mhm.
you can actually just sort of run into a lot of teams, and Wigglytuff is kind of safe, which is
Mhm.
kind of crazy. All
I
that to
believe.
say, Wiggly's legit. I mean, plus, like, one of these, they're also running dark flyers like Galarian Moltres and Mandibuzz. So, like, uh, one of the Clodsire teams and the Toxpex teams had a dark flyer that Wigglytuff obviously hard destroys. So it's not a safe pick to bring. But yeah, shout out. And I guess, we'll keep things moving because, again, I do recognize that this is all many weeks ago as well.
Look, I'm
But
happy to hear about the weekly tough propaganda. If you want to keep going, I like just carry on. Let's carry on.
yeah, we can make this a Wiggly. I mean, I don't think, obviously no one can see it in the recording, but my name in the recording software is Wigglytuff Jigglypuff. So
Mhm.
we are standing the Wiggly at the moment. But
Mhm.
I guess that then brings us to the fourth and final Championship Series tournament of 2024,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
was the Toronto Regional Championships, or Toron 3, if we're carrying on the naming scheme that we were using when we had Magmum in on last year after his Toron
Toronto,
2.
Toronto.
Oh, Toronto. Which, by the way, we also have a Toronto over here, New South Wales way. I don't know if you've got one
Oh.
over your way, but
Mm-mm.
same vibe, Toronto.
Okay.
As opposed to the very formal Toronto. But
Mm-mm.
we'll see how things go. But anyway, regional came out, and one of the, I guess, sort of one of those always the bridesmaid, never the bride type of battlers, Elam
Mhm. Mhm.
ended up taking out his first regional win after, like, it was due, to say the least.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Again, running Galarian Corsola, so clearly showing that it is quite a good Pokemon, but finally breaking the Jumpluff curse, and was not running Jumpluff in this particular regional.
I approve.
Yeah. If it's not clear, we're Jumpluff haters, despite the fact that it's won. What was the stat that I said yesterday? It was like
Oh, it's
4 of the
four
last
out of
6.
yeah, 4 out of 6
Yeah,
or something silly like
4 of the
that.
last 6 tournaments were won by Jumpluff. So
Mhm.
it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Over half at least, or like half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Mm-mm.
doing okay, to say the least.
I
But
actually was looking for a jump laugh on in my game, and I was just like, and I'm like, I don't think I made one.
like, as in like a community day acrobatics one, or just in general?
I think just in general, I was like,
Huh?
I'll never use this. But I think I do have one made because I remember distinctively using it against golf professor once, and he didn't shield. I laughed
Ah.
a lot.
Oh,
Um,
that's right. I remember. Were you playing in that Sylph tournament, perhaps, or was that did it just
mm-mm.
come later? Because I remember that tournament. I think it was the last Sylph tournament ever, or maybe it was like
Mm-mm.
the second last or something. And Jumpluff with acrobatics was relatively new. And when I was playing Golf Professor on stream, I couldn't make a single correct bait call. he, he would shield any move that I tried to land. He would no shield any bait I threw. I would shield every bait. I would no shield every big nuke. And Golf Professor just kept wrecking me game after game after game. And then
Yeah.
I think it flipped the other way a little bit when you guys played, if I recall. But,
Yeah. Or maybe it
yeah,
was the other way, like I bullied him, so therefore he had to bully you.
yeah, possible. But yeah,
uh,
look, it was good stream content. Let's say it was all for that.
mm, yeah, yeah.
It was all for the content, guys, for
Hmm.
sure. I guess I got Golf Professor back when I beat him with Whalmer, so
Yeah,
it is what it is.
it
Sydney
all evens
Regionals,
out.
shout out. But speaking of sort of, I guess, a little bit more unique picks,
Hmm.
Toronto was the first regional that actually had the brand new move updates. So,
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
scanning this top 16 list for any Focus Blast or Galgay, but I'm just not seeing one.
Trying to find a Starmie.
Oh, there is a Starmie. Oh, wait.
Where is a
Is it? Yeah,
Starmie?
there is. Dunebug
Where?
was running Starmie in the top
Oh, there
16.
it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there actually was one. Like, I know you're memeing, but it was there. uh, no one else was,
Mhm.
as brave as Dune was to
Mhm.
run that. We can check the Dracoviz. Was anyone else running Starmie? There were a few. No one else. Like, the next best performing Starmie came 49th.
Mhm.
So Dune did pretty good with Starmie. As
Talking
a
about Starmie, I know this is off track, but this is how Debbie's brain works. If we're at a Pokemon Center and there's a Staryu or a Starmie, can you remind me to buy it so I can put it on top of the Christmas tree?
That's pretty good, actually. I mean, surely there's going to be, like, the sitting cuties line at, like,
Yeah. I forgot.
Worlds
I
at
mean, like,
least.
I was in Singapore. I would have just bought it. The Kanto line was there. It just escaped my mind. But now that I'm like, oh, yes, I should just sit on top of the Christmas tree, of course.
Okay. Well, luckily, Worlds is going to be before Christmas. So
Mm-mm.
we'll just have to remember for Worlds Anaheim. So if anyone can
Okay.
remind us as well, if anyone else
Hmm.
remembers, then
Yep.
much appreciado. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Dunebug sort of making the first appearance of Starmie in the top 16 of all time in the championship series, or potentially any series of anything. um, in addition to Bibarel, which was a bit
Mm-hmm.
more of a meta line Pokemon in that people were
Mm.
expecting Bibarel to pop up.
Mm-mm-mm.
Some people were sort of haters. I was a bit of a stan for Bibarel. I don't know
Mm.
where you landed, Debbie, but it did
Of
okay.
course. Absolute stan. Bidoofline. Absolutely.
That's just
It's a
logic.
cutie. It will sit in with Debbie. It not uggo.
Yep. It is the one of the Pokemon that are allowed to end up on Debbie's team. It's
Mm.
it ticked off the one piece of important, you know, access criteria.
Mhm, mhm. Also, I think I have a rank 1, so
That works. I feel like I might have a decent one as well. Maybe I don't, but
Mm-mm.
regardless, it was able to come in. No, it's not on a lot of teams in the top
Mhm.
16. In fact, I think it's only on 2 teams in the entire
Mm.
top 16. But those 2 teams were third place and fourth place.
Mhm.
And, who is Mr. Perennial fourth place here? But Inadequates once more. He came in again, going a little bit off kilter.
Mhm.
He put up a YouTube video that you can go and watch him talking about his own run if you'd like. But I think he was talking about the sort of Bibarel Talonflame combo that he really wanted to run. With
Mhm.
Talonflame, obviously a very powerful Pokemon with a lot of really good coverage, and Bibarel running its brand new move Rollout, giving quite decent coverage into the rest, with Surf giving you some spam ability as well, which is pretty
Mm-mm.
handy.
Yeah. I mean, like, we've seen, I guess now that, Bibarel has rollout, where's the Dunsparces at?
Yeah, look, there's one Dunsparce in the top 16 that I can see.
Mhm.
That's about it. um, there's actually one interesting thing, because I was looking at these tournaments a little bit earlier,
Mhm.
is that if you look at the Pokemon usage progression from tournament to tournament to tournament, and I
Mhm.
just started looking from Sacramento because that's where we were going to be looking today.
Yeah.
You can sort of see that at the very start, it's very pretty much the entire way through, by the way, like from Sacramento to Toronto. And we are
Mhm.
missing data on Bogota because we just don't seem to have all of the team data from Bogota.
Mm.
Clodsire, Azumarill are the top 2 every time.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
Clodsire, Azumarill are the big guns in the meta. They were meta before the move update. They are clearly still big meta after the move update. They're
Mhm.
staying there.
Mhm.
But as immediately after that, from third place down, there's a lot of shenanigans going on, and there's been a lot of moving and shaking. And originally, Dunsparce was hanging around in third place.
Mm.
Uh, by the time we got to Toronto, and again, shout out to Dracoviz for sort of putting this data together,
Mm.
Dunsparce was down in 12th place in usage,
Mm.
which is quite the colossal drop off, especially when it's like, Bibarel hasn't entered the top 12 or anything. It's just like, it's, I guess, clawed enough away that,
Mm.
it doesn't quite make it. I mean, if I type Bibarel into Dracoviz, we get how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are only 10 Bibarel. So I guess if you
Mm.
throw another 10 in there, you get another uh, 10 out of 154. You get another 6%. All of a sudden, Dunsparce goes from 12th place. Okay, it still only gets it to like 8th place,
Mm.
even if all Liberals were actually Dunsparce instead. So kind of just seems like it might be on the way out.
Yeah. I suppose, like, with rollout, you'd be looking for, it's just really Talonflame, I suppose, that would be opposing it. As in, like, you would want to bring against it. So yeah, it's just other mons are better. That's just I think that's just it.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, this is one of the most Talonflamey top 16s of all time. I mean, there's like, well,
Mm.
not of all time, but of the current sort of recent metagame, because there's like 6 Talonflame in the top 16.
Mm.
It didn't make it onto top usage. So it's one of those Pokemon that, good players are bringing Talonflame, or Talonflame is really doing quite well,
Mm.
overperforming, you could say,
Mm.
compared to how much it actually appeared. But one possible reason that Dunsparce isn't, as doing as hot here is that you are sort of seeing a few less Clodsire, which is one of your better matchups, I suppose, as Dunsparce getting those drill runs quite quickly. So maybe, but yeah, I'm not quite sure here. I guess we are also seeing fighters are pretty much everywhere, which is obviously pretty scary for Dunsparce. Perhaps people were sort of hoping that Galarian Corsola would actually discourage fighters from coming along because they're able to do that big Astonish damage. But what seems to have happened instead is that the apes are hanging around to do that Rage Fist damage to the Corsola. And so fighters are actually really coming out in force, which really does hurt Dunsparce quite a bit.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of talk in the beginning of going which ape would, be of choice. And there was a lot of lean to Primeape in the beginning. But yeah, not seeing a lot of it. I mean, there's a few, but it seems to be Annihilape seems to be the preference from Toronto anyway.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's some sort of dissonance between the top 12 usage overall and the usage of the top 16 players. But like on the top 12 graphic, I guess Annihilape was at 35% usage and Primeape was at 28% usage. So they're like relatively close. And, if you add them up, together, you do beat Azumarill. So maybe if Rage Fist was only given to one monkey, then we'd actually have a different Pokemon on top. But as is, you can sort of pick and choose a little bit. And so both monkeys are apparently here to stay for a little while, at the very least.
Which is surprising. I was kind of expecting it to... I don't know what I was expecting, but I was kind of thinking that it'd be a big rise and then that everything would just kind of even out afterwards. I mean, like Doombug did bring Pangoro, but yeah, I thought that might be, still a little bit into the play of being that fast attack fighting move. But yeah, it is sticking around.
Yeah, I definitely seems to be, which is, I guess, all we can say. But we'll see how it sort of progresses when we get back into the championship series in 2025. Essentially, there's like a month off between the last tournament of 2024 and the first tournament of 2025. I think the first regional is in the third weekend of January. So that's going to be the 18th and the 19th. So we've got quite a bit of time before the first regional happens. And, we'll maybe see whether there's any staying power to these Pokemon as the meta progresses, whether Bibarel hangs out, if Doonbug's Starmie run, encourages others to sort of give it a go. Maybe they see the light in like, hey, well, if Doonbug can do it, maybe I can do it too with big Psywave action. But I guess we just have to wait and see.
Oh, look, I expect a surgence of, after Sprigatito Community Day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Expect Flower Trick Sprigatito to be everywhere. Or Meowscarada. Is that the last one?
Yeah. It goes
Sprigatito,
Floragato, and Meowscarada. Yeah.
I only evolved it for that Pokedex video. Otherwise, I'd be... wouldn't have been there yet. But... regardless, I think that sort of wraps up our championship series. I mean, locals have been pretty quiet on the Australian scene as well. And I think I looked at the little spreadsheet that's being kept up, and it seems very much like we're going to take a few weeks to get back into the local grind as well over in Australia's side. But.
Yeah. I mean, like from my side of things, as like someone that helps out with the locals, it was very much like I wanted as long as a break in the middle, just because from our side we're running like 3 challenges and a cup every month, so it was very much like, okay, let's have a break. We've done a big grind this year, just everyone just chill. So our first local isn't until I think the 12th of January, so
yeah, I think we actually get all the way up until the 18th before we actually have our first one. So we've got, I guess, empty weekend this weekend, empty weekend next weekend, and then don't get started until the championship series picks back up.
Yeah, so. I've been cooking and baking so much. My weekends are free, my goodness.
Yeah, so cleaning stream coming too, right?
Yeah. Maybe today. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see.
Okay. Well, I mean, by the time this comes out, that will have already happened, right? I mean, so.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Well, if you hear this and you haven't seen a cleaning stream, then you know it happened. But yeah, I guess that wraps up our championship series, so we can sort of move on, I guess, to the look back at 2024. And so we sort of figured we'd sort of do this by just sort of like briefly sort of thinking from the start of the year and just like, what the pointing out the highlights, I guess, from 2024.
Yeah, so looking back into the year that has been, we kick off February, which was, I think we're now saying 11 months ago, where we went to Melbourne for the Melbourne Regional. This was also a point where locals hadn't been announced yet. Locals officially were announced on the Friday night before we actually started the regional. So it was Rego Day. We all found out that locals was starting up, and then play day was Saturday, and Sunday. Yes, it was 2 days, wasn't it? Was Melbourne 2 days? Yeah, it's all a blur.
We stretched it out to a day too for the first time intentionally, I think. Is that right? Like we've had a day 2 before, but it was because phones didn't work and such.
I think Brisbane was also intentional, but we also hit
that's right.
a good amount of players, and that was just in December. So even though it was like season 2025, it was like technically last year. So that's why we're not really briefing on it. Yeah. Yes. 20, yeah. But yeah, Steve made it to the correct airport, which is always important.
It's harder than it seems when you go to Melbourne.
What else is the highlights there? We did some Pokemon stuff. We got the Fendi shirts from the Fendi store.
In-game ones. We did not pay the exorbitant prices for the real ones. That wasn't happening. We don't have that sort of money.
Join our Patreon. No, I'm kidding. So Steve can get a Fendi shirt.
Yeah, I'm not spending it on a Fendi shirt. I'll put it that way.
Yes, the Fendi handbag because it's got the Dratini on it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And what else happened in Melbourne? I evolved an Umbreon just before I regoed. So I couldn't rego I couldn't lock in my team until I had to wait until it was like nighttime to get a better IV Umbreon. So that happened. You had your best buddy Wizcash.
I did. It was quite the grind, doing as many hearts as possible each day. And I don't know if it was like 9 days or something like that to actually get it up to best buddy, to the point where the morning of the regional, I was still doing like routes and stuff to get the last buddy hearts I needed to actually get it up to that best buddy Wizcash so I could use the best buddy bonus, which was pretty sick. Like, I don't regret it. It was pretty awesome.
No.
Yeah. I sort of like, in retrospect, I do wish that I vlogged it, but at the time that wasn't really on the cards, I guess. But.
Yeah, well, I think that's also a thing that's happened this year, right? That there's been more vlogging from your end and a little bit more recording from now we have the PvP Josh channel as well. Go subscribe, everyone. So yeah, there's been a lot that's happened this year already. But yeah, anything else from Melbourne Regionals that you wanted to brief over?
I mean, look, we had Yakko coming in as the second or the first ever 2-time regional champ from Australia. Wait, that is right? Well, I guess if you're not counting OCIC, but the two-time regional champ, but also the first ever back-to-back regional champ in the world, I believe. Barely beating out Dunebug by the same weekend. Dunebug accomplished the same feat, but obviously with time zones, Yakko was technically the first. So you get that on the big jobs, I suppose. But and obviously there were the clamoring for Dunebug to go for for Yakko to go for the 3-peat and go to Perth and try as well, but it wasn't happening.
Hey, look, I offered. We got a spare bedroom. I was going to kick you out.
Yeah, I'll go find accommodation elsewhere, I guess. But
you can go next to the garden.
Yeah, I'll bring a tent.
Make it work.
Hang out in the backyard, but yeah.
Yeah, no, Melbourne was good times. And, we still don't know. I mean, we'll talk about it later, but we still don't know what the third regional is for this season. So we might be going back to Melbourne. Who knows?
Yeah, we might not be. We may not have a Melbourne regional this year. We don't know. But I guess Melbourne was also the last time that either of us competed in Australia in a regional because, well, I mean, we casted the next two. We were
We
there.
did.
Oh, didn't compete.
Yeah, so following Melbourne was Perth Regional of last season. And yeah, it was the first time we had our community stream. So that was all exciting having us here and then having Fishy Legs remotely and also having Rise to Occasion remotely casting for that. So it was fun times. In the hotel because we had the hotel room opposite to the convention center, so it was very much like running around back and forth from there. So it was really cool actually. When I think back on, I was just like, we made something happen that wasn't there before, and that was groundbreaking at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and open the door, I guess, to future streams, and clearly
Mm-hmm.
that's kept on going, and hopefully it keeps on going for the rest of the season. We can hope. At this point, again, we're sort of in. We've got question marks.
Mm-hmm.
Not like we're just waiting for others. Like I've sort of like, oh, I won't start the combo until the new year because I'm sure
Yeah,
everyone's
yeah,
on
yeah.
holiday. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, hopefully it continues on for the rest of the season as well because
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty cool to sort of, I guess, be able to broadcast and have these battles sort of on record because there's just so many times where it's been like oh, I know Mikey Morg sometimes he'll talk about like, oh, like this set was, some of the best battles that, have
Mm-hmm.
played out. Like, they're world champion level and no one's ever going to see them because,
Mm-hmm.
there was no stream, there was no nothing. So it's kind of like, well, that sucks. But, we're not
Mm-hmm.
allowed to get the recordings from the phones.
Mm-hmm.
And so tough luck,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. So the fact that we can do that now, or we've had done in the last two Perth regionals, is pretty cool. I mean that initial Perth community stream, that was the April one. I mean the bracket reset, the final Rick versus Jai. I mean that I think that was definitely up there. The comeback that Rick had, yeah, it's definitely one of those that was in the Oceania region. I think that like in the top three at least for me anyway.
Yeah, it was incredibly. It was really sick, actually, and I mean that's why I literally clipped the grand finals and posted that to Twitter because I was like, "Watch this!" It's
Mm-mm,
like, guys, give this one a sticky beak
mm-mm,
because it was a pretty cool finals, to say the least. But also a little bit of an intro to They Love Jai to the world because
mm,
most people didn't really know who he was. It was the first time I was meeting him there in
mm-hmm,
Perth. Ric Flair, and obviously a little bit more of a known quantity. Um,
mm-mm,
obviously having already competed at the World Championships in London
mm-hmm.
um, and Yokohama
Yes.
after that point. So,
Yeah.
uh, you know, definitely a sick set to watch, and seeing
You're not going
Rick
to
get
drop your
his.
top 16 like stat from.
It went through my head.
I saw it. You were thinking about it. You're just like,
It's so sad now that it couldn't stretch out to a third worlds. Just
oh, come on, Rick, pick it up.
ah, pathetic, really. But, uh, I kid.
You're going to get it at the next regional. Not next regional, next
At the
local.
next local. Oh man, I'll have it coming. I mean, if he wants to win the next regional, he knows what he has to do. All I'm gonna say. But yeah, so
Mhm.
Perth was also just pretty cool. It was the first time I'd ever been to Perth.
Mm,
I'd never been over that way before. Furthest, no one East Soggy Weet-Bix west.
mhm.
I'd been in Australia, and yeah, it was pretty cool. But
You
it
checked
was
out
the
when it was raining in Perth and how heavy the rain was. You
how
discovered the Perth Hospital. That.
yep, lovely hospital. Had a
hmm
good time.
hmm Yeah. Highlights of
Uh,
Perth.
yep, no stitches necessary. Free tetanus shot.
Yeah, which were
Oh,
you going to get anyway because you were traveling, like,
yeah, I had to get
soon
it
after?
for yeah within the like following 2 months. I was going to have to get a tetanus shot anyway, and
Mm-mm.
so hey, picked it up for free. So
You're
shout out the
welcome.
hospital.
You're welcome with my taxpayers' money. So
Thank
really,
you,
I paid.
taxpayers. Wow, you guys are so generous. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. But that then brought us to, I guess, the conclusion of the 2024 season when we
hmm
went to the World Championships in
hmm
Hawaii, Honolulu.
Honolulu. Well, it's the first time I've been to Honolulu. I believe it was you've been before. So,
I hadn't been to Honolulu. I'd been to Hawaii before
mm-mm,
um,
mm-mm.
with the fam
Yeah.
back in like 2015 or something. But yeah, this is first time Honolulu, and obviously, keeping the really nice destinations up for the World Championships at this stage. But
yeah, until
well, yeah, to come, I guess. Ugh. But look, it was still a lot of fun, and I really I remember quite fondly the big flight that we had, where we were all on the same flight with a bunch of the other Aussie Worlds competitors, some guys from like the other games that we recognised as well. Some Perth locals,
yeah.
Robbe, who runs our Good Game Central local tournaments in New South Wales, who's a TCG competitor, and it was cool having everyone
Yeah.
on that flight,
Look,
communicating through the little chat thing.
We're all cheapskates. We flew Jetstar.
Yeah, we flew the cheapie because why wouldn't we? I mean, I'm going to assume that it ends up being similar next time, but we'll see how things go, I guess, as it actually approaches closer to August, which is still quite a while away, but it'll creep up. But yeah, we actually we rocked up. I got to be on stream, which was cool.
Yeah, a few times.
We recorded the little world intro segments, which was a lot of fun. And I still one of actually my favorite parts of Worlds, not necessarily the the being on stream with the recording and stuff, but just the hanging out with other the really top players from other games and sort of just absorbing those insights out of their sort of Pokemon universes and just being like, cool.
I feel like post Worlds, I've kind of opened my eyes to a lot of other Pokemon games now. I'm a bit more, not that I was adverse, but a bit more friendlier to actually participating, because I'm just like, okay. Not that so-and-so plays, so I want to play. It's more along the lines of that seems pretty cool. So it's definitely, I feel like, yeah, Worlds is very much, I have described it before as like the Coachella of Pokemon. So it's just kind of like dabbling in a little bit of everything, watching a little bit of everything. I'm like, yeah, I kind of get that. Yeah, let's do that. So
Yeah.
I feel like I've diversified a little bit post Worlds after kind of looking at things and be like, ooh, okay, so I see why this is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I've certainly diversified after Worlds. I mean, I've competed in 2 TCG tournaments since. Just copy pasting the deck from the TCG guy I met at Worlds.
Wait, when you always put Henry Brand in your tweets, does he like the tweets? Has he seen them? Okay,
yeah, Henry Brand likes
I'm just wondering if he just totally just this guy.
Stop tagging me, dude. Seriously.
Yeah.
I don't think I did tag him in the last one. I was like, I've tagged him enough. It's fine.
This Go guy keeps running my team.
Yeah, I think we follow each other on Twitter as well. But yeah. The other guy I met at the last TCG tournament did not like my tweets when I tagged him. So
okay.
All right. Okay, Brent, we might not tag you in the. Sorry for bothering you, Brent. But yeah, obviously there's the TCG, and then we haven't talked about this on the podcast, and maybe we talk about this in the 2025 section a little bit more, but there's some Unite competition coming up pretty soon as well. VG is a little less accessible on my end without having a Nintendo Switch.
Well,
so don't expect me to compete.
There's an announcement coming out today, or no, is it today? They're going to talking about what's succeeding post Switch, which will be happening, I think, 31st of March. So you might want to hold out on buying a Switch until they make that announcement.
Oh, I didn't have plans to buy one, but yeah. Well, I saw the thing that said they will announce the sort of predecessor, the successor in the next 3 months. Was the announcement I saw at some point in that 3 months. Which, I mean, Pokemon Day exists, but that doesn't seem like a Pokemon thing, I guess. But
yeah, so it might be you want to hold out, or just like I mentioned previously to you, I think Rick has a spare one.
Yeah. Hey, maybe after the Switch 2 comes out, he'll have to sell that for cheap. Well, look, we'll see how things go. But I'm not rushing to it. I do enjoy Pokemon Showdown. Not that I've touched it in over 6 months, but I do enjoy the concept of VG at the very least. But yeah, hey, at some point we'll probably complete the clean sweep of competing in all the games. But I guess back on topic-ish about Worlds. Obviously, we then also got to record our segment with the with us, Butters, and Zoe, which is
Yeah.
a lot of fun as well.
That's my goals for
Pretty.
next year, so I can paddle faster. Gotta get these legs going. I
It's
need some tips from Fishy Legs to get some Quadzilla happening.
all right. We'll go hard leg days. I see the
Mhm.
vision now.
Mhm.
Not that I expect Anaheim to have a lot of paddling going on, but
You never know. You never
you
know.
never know. You never know. Look, they do have water access, so not as picturesque, but hey, it is what it is.
Mhm, mhm,
And then, yeah, we got to watch the Aussies, play through. Some Aussies for their first time, like Claire or Gone 1001.
mhm,
And then a lot of sort of the veterans of the scene sort of
mhm.
competing along as well. And we got two Aussies through to top 32 day two with
Okay.
Yakko and Fishy Legs.
Mhm,
Fishy Legs are running ahead of the curve with this Shadow Gator.
mhm.
It feels so obvious now, but at the time it
Yeah.
was like fair enough.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
Yakko running, I don't think Yakko, I can't think of any particular spice or off kilter pick that Yakko was running. I think it was pretty meta
I
off the
can't think
dome.
of it, honestly. Like, even if it was spicy, I
Hey, look, correct us in the comments. We'll just have to get the engagement that way. But yeah, obviously, really cool to see those guys perform really well. Both of them coming back of like not great performances in the previous world championships
Mm.
to coming back to great ones in this one,
Mhm.
which I guess mirrors the journey of your Kai, the eventual world champ as well, who went
Yeah.
0-4 last year and then won the entire thing this year.
Well,
So
Worlds was such an upset, right? Like there was just so many North Americans that got knocked out so quickly.
mhm.
I think the most notable being Dunebug going 0-2. And if you asked anyone on predictions prior to that, they would expect him to be like, if not day two, to be in the finals. So yeah, it was just a really um like just unpredictable
Mhm.
worlds. So yeah, it was kind of really quite fascinating to watch, and for Yakai to take it all the way. And yay, APAC! So, so yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and again, shout out to TPCI for having us
Mm.
as with creator passes as well, notable
Hmm,
trainers.
hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's always a cool experience to be a part of as well. Got to meet a lot of
Mm-hmm.
cool people.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I guess looking forward to the next Worlds. But keeping on with the 2024 recap, I suppose, unless you've got anything else to throw in on Worlds. Um,
No, no, no. I mean, like they can go back to the podcast where we talk about worlds.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot we talked about a lot. The podcast exists. Just go back
Mhm,
to whichever episode it happened to be. Well, I think 2 episodes potentially that we talked about worlds.
mhm.
Perhaps can't quite remember, but we then obviously proceeded on to Perth again. This just
Hey, welcome
last
back.
month with the back-to-back tournament. Came back to Perth, did another stream. This time we had all four casters there in person with Fishy
Mm,
Legs and Dr. Trotter as well, and it was a
yeah.
really cool operation, I thought, with
Mm-mm.
the sort of the constant, everyone sort of moving around. It was a very busy day. It was a very long day, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with what we were able to produce.
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned in the previous podcast, I think it was such an improvement from from April to December of having everyone there. So it was like, all right, we've actually got a team where before it was just you and I just trying to run everything on the floor and stream at the same time. So it was nice to have another couple of hands there and running back and forth. And yeah, it was cool to have the boardroom as well, just to kind of like have that space. So yeah, it just it was. Oh, and I think like the thing that just like topped it off was having the background. How cool was it having
Mm,
that Go background?
that was
it looked
sick.
it looked so official, and with the Draco Viz like background of it being green as well. Like I remember getting a fair few comments being like, "Oh, that looks pretty cool. It looks very legit," and I was like, "Awesome!" For a community stream to get that feedback, I'm just like, "That's pretty cool."
Yeah, it looks very cool, to say the
Mm,
least. But obviously, like we literally talked all about the Perth regional in the last episode. So if you do want
mm-mm,
to sort of see that in depth, you can go watch that back.
mhm.
Same thing about my world tour. That was the immediate episode before that. So if you want to get into details on that, that's all in that episode. So we figured we'd sort of skip over these bits a little bit in
Mhm.
this particular episode, especially because we have to make sure we fit inside that 1 hour 22-minute time span.
With the cows mooing at the end. Maybe I'll make
Is there
12
anything?
moos, like ringing in the year.
Oh, she's going TikTok superstitious on me. Um,
I had my 12 grapes. I better have a good year.
yeah, for anyone that knows what that means. But is there anything else you wanted to mention on the 2024 front before we look forward to
Look,
2025?
there was no hospital incident. I call that a good run. So for you
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, I mean, I guess there was in 2024 is like uh as a
It
year as a
wasn't
whole.
repeated. It wasn't repeated.
Yeah, okay. We've still got all of 2025 to give it another crack, I suppose.
No
Potentially,
crack.
literally.
No crack. No
Uh,
crack. No concussions, please.
we'll do our best. But yeah, 2025,
Mhm,
we head into, again, locals will kick up eventually. We've got our
mhm,
next regional championship in the Oceanic region coming up at
mhm.
the end of March, which is quite a way away. It is essentially a full 3 months. We've
Yeah.
got to wait until the next regional up in
Mhm,
Brisbane.
mhm.
And then the third regional is question mark still. The
Yeah.
expectation, what ESL has said, is that they're going to announce it in early January.
Mhm.
We'll see if that ends up happening and where it ends up being, whether it's Melbourne or, Sydney would be sick or
I
Newcastle would be sicker.
I'm laughing through the ESL Discord of people saying Darwin. I was like, oh,
Hey,
okay.
I mean, I've never been. I'd take it as a pretty solid excuse, but yeah, I mean, whether a stream happens or not, I assume that you've got intention of attending both regionals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I just need notice. But the earlier that they actually do announce it, the better. So we will see when ESL decides to drop that. But yeah, I'll be there. I assume you will be there, and
Yeah,
then we'll have our little merry crew just tap in our phones.
yeah, we'll see how we go, I guess.
Mhm,
And then, I mean, we already said it in this podcast, but we're intending to rock up to Worlds in Anaheim as well, which is
mhm,
the
mhm.
least exotic location that Pokemon Go has had, I would argue. But
Yeah,
if you don't count the 2019 Invitational in Washington, D.C., because Anaheim is probably a step up from Washington, but hey, that is what it
I'm
is.
unaware. I'm so like I know nothing in regards to America, so I'm just like, ah, I would have thought that Washington was more interesting than Anaheim. But if you're more knowledgeable on this front,
I don't know. I guess depends on your definition of interesting, I suppose. I guess there's Disney in Anaheim, I suppose, is the
that's all
big
I've been told.
calling card.
Like yes,
That's all there is. But
ah,
it's the attraction. But
mhm.
yeah, I guess what are your goals going into the 2025 year, if you've got
Yeah.
any?
Well, I had to think about this earlier because, like, I know that you've been playing GBL, but I have played no GBL. Like, it's sitting on 0 currently. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to take a break from the season. Obviously, I had some medical conditions and like vertigo and things like that. So I actually have to limit a lot of my screen time. So I'm just like, you know what? This can go on pause while I can do everything else. So yeah, I think from a Go point of view, it will be cleaning out my storage.
The forever goal is never being done. It's a true Sisyphusian effort.
Look, it's just I'm sitting at 7,500. I haven't maxed out the storage yet. It's just um have some sort of system for it. Yeah, look, it's a ever going goal.
Yeah. The boulder will keep getting pushed up that hill, and maybe eventually she'll get to the top. But um, outside of that, anything else that you've sort of would like to accomplish this year?
Oh look, I think I'd like to win a local, but
Okay.
it's really tough competition here. So I think if like a couple of people were sick, if they were just capped out on points and were just like, nah, I'll just sit out, that'd be nice. No,
Well,
but
that's very possible.
we'll see. We'll see. I think a few of the boys are going to go after travel awards, so they're going to be attending quite a few locals to try and cap out the points there. So you will see. But yeah, I think refresh and just reboot and see how we go. That's Let's see how we go.
Fair
What
enough.
are your goals? What would you like to achieve this year?
I don't know. In general, I don't think I'm much of a big uh new calendar year, new me sort of vibe. Like I tend to
It is
ignore
a
that
new
sort of
you. People need to know what Josh wants.
oh yeah, it wasn't quite attached to the calendar year, I suppose. That just got dropped
Ah,
when it got dropped.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
But in general, again, I'm sort of expecting that I won't be competing again in the 2024
Mm,
season.
mhm,
So my competition is probably donezo until
mhm,
the 2025 season.
mhm,
Um, we'll see what happens in the 2026 season.
mm,
Maybe there's no competition in this calendar year.
mhm.
I'm not sure. We'll just have to wait and see how the year does unfold. There are a few. I won't get into detail, but there's a few chances that, like, oh, maybe there will be room to tack on a regional if it happens to be at the correct time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
there's some unfortunate circumstances in I would really love if there was a lot more notice of when the early regionals took place in the
Mhm,
season. Like,
mhm.
like we didn't get a ton of notice of like when the September regionals were taking place,
Yes.
for example.
Yeah. Mhm,
And I get it. It's just that like it's inconvenient for me specifically this year that's
yeah.
the case. Because it
Mhm,
would be really nice to be able to pre-plan that sort of thing.
mhm,
So
mhm.
that might knock it out of contention regardless. But anyway, maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. But I
Mhm,
think that one thing, other than hoping to get community streams sort of still going for the
yeah.
upcoming Go regionals,
Mhm,
is a little bit of a content focus. In like, there's a
mhm,
few things I want to accomplish. There's a few things I want to do. One
mm,
thing that I'm really looking at to try and do somehow is um, sort of more funsy streams in terms of
mm-mm.
like non pogo group shenanigan, like pogo
Yeah.
people, but pogo folks doing other things
Yeah, yeah.
that
Mhm,
might look to explore that in the near future. But
mhm.
yeah, I don't know.
Sounds
We'll
very
see.
Among Us days.
I guess yeah, that um, sort of thing. But
Mhm,
yeah, we'll see how things trek. And I said I'd mention it later, I guess. So we're also looking to compete in the official Unite circuit and
mhm.
probably lose hard this month.
Yeah,
So it should be fun to say the least. But
just to
we'll
have
see.
fun. So if you're
Well,
interested in Unite, just tag Steve.
actually, if you are from the Oceanic region and you are interested in joining us, do send me a message. I don't know if we're going to be like at the time of recording, we do have some spots open. Whether that's the case by the time this episode goes out, I don't know. But do send me a message if you're interested, because
Mhm,
yeah, we might have some open slots if you're interested in
mhm,
competing with us. But
mhm.
yeah, I guess that's sort of me. I guess. Anything else you wanted to, I guess, mention 2025?
No, I think we'll see how the year goes. Like I don't want to put so much pressure on myself to be like, okay, I'm gonna,
Hmm.
have this much content. I want to have X amount of subscribers. I want to do this and that. I'm just like, you know what? We'll just see how it goes. After last year and like just being consistent, well, not consistent, but like having a lot of basically going uphill with a lot of health issues. I'm just kind of like, okay, we'll just pace it. We'll just pace it out. So small, achievable. We'll just see how it all goes. But yeah, just the big goal of Anaheim. Obviously, that will be the big highlight of the year. So that will be cool once we get over there. Again, I haven't been to Anaheim. I've only been to Seattle for the Americas, and that was for Go Fest. So again,
Or
another
Hawaii.
Oh, yeah, I suppose if it counts, it does
It
count.
counts.
And then, yeah. So I don't know. It's always been for something Pokemon related. I haven't gone and just done a trek in America, so I don't know what to expect. All I know, I have to tip. Ugh.
Right.
Mm. We don't
Such
do
a
that here.
lame cultural aspect.
We don't do that here. We pay our wages.
Yeah, just makes so much more sense.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
alas, I guess one thing that I just remembered while you were
Mm.
speaking is that I guess just the self plug before, because this will happen before the next episode, is the Who is the Go Goat tournament
Oh yes, yes.
with
Hmm, hmm.
there was a tweet from Amanda Lundberger
Mhm.
quite a while ago. Might not quite a while ago, maybe like a month or two ago. There was like,
Mhm.
if there was a Pokemon Go Mount Rushmore, who would be on it? And she was like,
Mhm.
definitely Wadaj, definitely Mardo. Who else would like go up there?
Mhm.
And the consensus in the replies was like, obviously Wadaj is one of the best consistent battlers in the world. Marto has got 2 top 6s at Worlds and keeps winning
Mhm.
literally everything.
Mhm.
Um, Dunebug was a very obvious one as someone who has more regional victories than anyone else in the world, on top
Yeah.
of being a Silph World champion, on top of being a Go Battle League legend and the first
Mhm.
player to ever hit legend in the Go Battle League all time.
Mhm.
Um, you know, very much goes on there. And then Itzaxon was sort of mentioned a lot as well as
Yeah.
the man with many accolades to his title, including the World Championship title.
Mm-mm.
So that'll be happening in, well, I guess the weekend before the first regional. So it's Saturday 11th for the Americans and the Europeans.
Yep.
It'll be somewhat early morning on Sunday the 12th for us East Coasters. Insanely early morning for West Coasters. So I don't expect don't expect any Perthians to be viewing in. But
You never
you know,
know.
yeah, if you show up and chat, I'll be disappointed.
Oh,
It'll be like a 2 a.m. start for you or something. So
that's
um,
what yeah, we don't want to
yeah,
disappoint Josh.
yeah. Yeah, if that's the excuse you need to run with, then it works. But yeah, details are on Twitter. If you do want to go check those out with the
Mhm.
specifics and whatnot. But yeah, that's happening, which is cool. But
Cool.
more cool streams to come.
Where will that be on? Will that be on Twitch or YouTube or
Yeah, that'll be
both?
on my Twitch,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
twitch.tv/pvpsteve7. But yeah,
mm-hmm,
all the details are in the tweet if you're going to check
mm-hmm,
that out. I made a little video, but I'll be posting the teams that they're running in
mm-hmm.
the next few days as well. So stay tuned for all of that. But
I was wondering if you'll
um,
be doing like a simulcast.
uh, I don't know. I'll explore it later, I guess.
Mm-mm.
Big
Write it
number
down.
usually good in general. But yeah, I guess that's sort of our 2025 look ahead, which means we have to look back a little bit, Debbie. Only a
Mm-hmm.
few weeks to the last episode's YouTube comments.
Yes.
So
Let's go through them.
what's the order here? So Ann Emma was first to the bat. We've actually got a few commenters this week.
Oh.
So Ann Emma, a comment for the YouTube thingy for yous. We've spent 20 minutes talking about my name. Well, it did rock the internet and melt brains. So I mean, fair
Mm-hmm.
enough. I did
Mm-hmm.
mention that we did spend a significant portion of that how long episode? Hour 50 episode just talking about the name reveal. But hey,
Fine.
it
You've been
is what
keeping
it
it
is.
for a secret for however long. I think it was fine.
Yeah, it has been 6 years. I guess 20 minutes isn't that long by
Mm-hmm.
comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can save all the glaring courses for you both if you still need a good one by the time I do eventually get to say hello IRL. Hopefully, Pokemon Go will make Galarian Corsola a bit more accessible by then.
I hope so. I've
I
been trying to
hope.
still hatch 7 kilometer eggs, and I'm not hatching the Corsola. Like I'm hatching eggs, but I'm not hatching Corsola.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid struggle at the moment,
Mm-mm,
but it
mm-mm.
is what it is. So glad that Perth went so well. Still need to finish my watch of the stream as I fell asleep on my first catch up and lost where I got to. Doesn't YouTube like keep you at the point? Oh, unless you fall asleep and it plays ahead, and then you like don't know where it came back
Mm-mm.
to.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean, hey, if you want to go to sleep to the stream, that's a great idea because it will really help the watch time. So we love that. I thought all the casters did phenomenally well, and my soul was very happy to see you cast together. More, please, and thank you. Well,
Mm.
hopefully, more to come.
Mm.
We'll see. Again, no clue on our end, but fingers
Mhm.
crossed. But happy holiday beans. Thought into my brain, fighting in my heart. Merch, stickers. I'd like 2, please. One to blue tack to my wall, and a second to go on my suitcase next to the sticker. I mean, we're having conversations. I guess it's tricky when the logo of the podcast has Pokemon IP in it.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah. Well, we
so
need to make something that would be Pokemon friendly, as in take away the Pokemon or make it like esque, but like you'd recognize it, but not quite recognize it. If like we don't want to get sued. Let's put it that way.
not that we get, if anything, we'd get cease and desisted. But if we can avoid that, that'd be great.
Mhm.
I will say in reference to this comment as well, because there was I guess a attached follow up on Twitter. because like this podcast doesn't have a Patreon or whatever, but we have mentioned that eventually we would like to get to 1,000 subscribers where we can
Yes.
try and generate revenue as well, because it
Mm-hmm.
does cost more than you would expect to keep the podcast hosted. So I just want to say, if you would like to support the podcast directly,
Mm-hmm.
probably the easiest way is to either just like sign up to either Debbie or my Patreons and just like say that it is for the shoot us a message, say that it's for the podcast, and we'll just throw it into that bucket.
Yeah.
If you'd like. That seems like the best way in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, or ask us for a PayPal email if you'd like as well. And again, we can direct it straight into the podcast bucket.
Yeah.
Because we're a little bit away from 1,000. So by the way, if you haven't already, do go ahead and hit that subscribe button over on YouTube at G'day
Please.
Battlers as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next comment comes in from T. Wastel. Stream was fun to watch, but it was also very long. Would like to maybe see Perth split up into 2 days next time. What do you guys think about that?
I think it was just unfortunate in regards to the stream because of the reviews that were happening. Otherwise, it's just a typical normal stream length, I think. Like, how long does a normal day one go for in a normal tournament?
I did actually look. It is like, even if there wasn't dispute shenanigans, I think that we would be longer than the usual longest.
Right.
So like it did go a little bit over. I think that like the broadcast, including all of the disputes and whatnot, we hit the 10-hour mark, I think.
Yeah.
The Toronto day one, I think, was like it almost hit 9 hours. So we were a little bit longer, even if you take the dispute out. The tournament did like go longer for the benefit of the stream, which I probably would have, like, retrospectively, I would have liked to see it shorter, really cut down on the number of stream matches, so that people weren't waiting around for as long.
Yeah.
I think that there could be, for the other regionals, I expect there to be day two. Like that's the expectation, because we went to day two in the actual season. It's just that this regional was the smallest of the bunch. Like, last time there were 28 people. So it's sort of like, it was reasonable for them to make it a 1 day event, I think. It probably just got extended a little bit too long for the stream. And so the stream went pretty long as well. So definitely would like to see it. If this exact same scenario happened again, I would like to see it shorter. I don't expect it to be much of an issue for the other ones, because we'll almost guaranteed have a day two for the other regionals. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue, I think.
Look, if it was again, Perth had another regional, I'd be 100% all for a day two. Like, that would make my day. Just to say that Perth had a day two. So I'm all for it.
Or, things are growing, so maybe it even gets to a number that it's actually reasonable to have a day two next time. I don't know about that. That might be a bit of a stretch. Maybe a stream day two, if they want it. But Twastel continues. Twastel. Also, no shout out for the Kiwis that attended Perth. I don't remember if we were doing a specific shout out section. I actually kind of thought, and this must be a mistake because he listened to the episode. I thought that we did mention it, but maybe we didn't.
Well, we had the 4 New Zealanders come over, right? So we had Yusei, we had Bomatsu, Mardi Gras, and I think Joe also came across as well, but he didn't compete.
I didn't think Joe was. Oh, did he? Was he? I mean, I assume his kid. His kid competes, right? So
yeah. I think they came over, but wasn't competing. So
okay, and Mardi Gras, you might have seen him on the playlist as from South America, but he was living in New Zealand, so he came over with the Kiwi guys. I guess shout out. We miss it, I suppose. But I love how Steve, or should I say Josh, look, who knows, conveniently left out the fact that people told him he should Uber to the venue at LAIC, and also how cheap the Ubers were there. Look, we talked about that enough in the other episode, right?
I think we can close that door now. I think lessons have been learned.
Have they? Well, they have in Brazil. at the very
Look, if
least.
I'm traveling with you, you know that there will probably be an Uber.
Yeah, that's true. I'm much
Mhm.
more spend no dime inclined.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but
So
hey,
it'll be okay. If you're by yourself again, who knows? Who knows? It's an
could go pretty
adventure.
wrong. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and last comment on the episode is from
Mm-hmm.
Bamboss. We love
Mm-hmm.
Bamboss, don't we, folks? Um, I'm hoping for a regular nautical segment, which reminds me, we do have a nautical segment.
Oh, excellent.
Um, I've been workshopping some names you can use: Nautical's Corner, Nautical's Nook,
Oh,
Nautical Unplugged, Nautical Unhinged, and Nawny Corner.
oh.
I have a thought. Did any of those pique your interest?
Uh, I love alliteration, so I like Nook, but you can choose.
I don't. It's a group decision here. I liked the sound of Nautical's Corner,
Mm-hmm.
besides the not alliteration and not even quite the rhyme, but the early part of the word rhyme, the early syllable rhyme of Nautical Corner.
Mm-hmm.
I quite liked.
Mm-hmm.
Nook is possible. We could do Nook,
No. I like corner.
but
Um,
actually, vote in the comments below which of,
yeah.
which of
I
Bamboss's
do like Naughty Corner, as in like it sounds
mm,
like naughty corner.
is that bad? Is it,
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to punish that guy.
Fair enough.
But yeah, let us know what you guys think. But
Oh,
we
I'm going
do
to
have
sneeze.
we mentioned this at the end of the last episode. Oh,
Continue while I
bless.
sneeze.
Catherine.
I'm not cutting this out.
Naturally.
Mm-mm.
Last time there were 3 nautical team sheets, and I think we showed 2 of them. And I was specifically like, well, we'll save the third one for content next time. So
Mhm.
let's take a look at what we've got here. Again,
Oh.
for those that aren't aware, Nautical is a very young trainer that competes in the locals here in New South Wales,
Mhm.
and has got some very, very cool team sheets. So we're just gonna, take a look at one of the team sheets he ran in probably the last local of the season here. So we've got Shadow Machamp here. You can
Mhm.
see it has Karate Chop, Cross Chop, Stone Edge, and Take Steroids
Yes.
as its third charge attack by the seams of it. So I'm
Yeah,
not sure if
yeah.
that's tournament legal, but hey,
Again, we're missing CP here, so
yeah, we are missing CP. But hey, it is what it is. We've got
Mhm.
Shadow for Alligator looking
Oh,
very
this is
sick
very
here.
cool.
We've even got like environment going on around
Yeah, this
for
is
Alligator.
very TCG card vibes.
Yeah, maybe
Mhm.
should compete in the next TCG artwork competition.
Yeah.
We then have Mandibuzz, who is hanging out with a couple of Vullabies
Mhm.
all around it. We've
Good
got a
mama.
very evil Clodsire with an
Oh,
evil Galarian Wooper. Oh, Paldean. Sorry,
Paldean.
Paldean Wooper.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I suppose it does have poison.
it does. We then have Superior again. We've
Ooh,
got quite the environment going on around it with grass and
yeah.
flowers. Very cool.
I do like the flowers.
It's a very nice touch.
Mhm.
Better than I can draw flowers. And then we have Dunsparce, who
Uh.
seems to have already picked up a casualty with Ouchie Frowny Face. Um,
But the person's smiling, so
yeah, he's smiling. So it's a happy Ouchie.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's this week's Naughty Corner, Nautical Corner, Nautical's Nook,
Mhm.
however you're gonna put it. And I think that's the end of the podcast. I think.
Yeah. So,
So
everyone follow our socials at G'day Battlers on Twitter/X. Drop us drop us a like, sub, drop us a comment on YouTube if you're watching from there. 5-star rating on Spotify and any of the other podcast platforms. Also, go drop a follow on PvP Steve's and PvP Josh on YouTube as well. To get that sub count up. Also, you're most welcome to also drop a sub on my channel as well at debbiepebble. But it's a new year, it's a new me.
wow. Actually, not just making me have to do it. That's crazy. Actually, plugging herself. This is crazy.
if you're really inclined, there's a Pomodoro video.
Wow.
it
Such
has
growth.
it has nice artwork on it.
We'll see if this stands.
Yeah, no, I think it's a day one, January 1st, and after this, it's just downhill from here. I'm like, back out, bye.
That's all right. I'll keep it covered. I'll keep plugging the Debbie Pebble channels. But yeah, regardless, hit all the buttons and be sure to subscribe to the G'day Battlers podcast on YouTube to get that number up as well. And with that said, Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you in the next one. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. Insert cow noises, sounds.
Yeah, let's 1 hour 22. I was exactly right. Isn't that crazy, guys?
Wait, where do we get the cow sounds from? Do we make them, or do we is that on
Oh,
YouTube Studio? Do we
there's
start
got to
mooing?
be copyright free moo, right? Surely.
Moo.
Moo. I mean, no, you've got to get a bit more guttural, like. "Mm."
Moo.
Yeah, that's fair enough.